Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Digium Live. We are really excited to have Adam Kramer, product manager for Switchvox, here with us because we always know that that means something new is happening with Switchvox. So welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Good to be here.
Good. So today we're going to talk about Switchvox 6 and virtualization. So Adam, let's go ahead and start with 6. So I understand there was a substantial development effort that made Switchvox 6 happen. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, Brian. So the Digium team here has been hard at work developing the latest version of Switchvox 6. To understand really that scale of what went into this engineering effort, you really need to take a step back and look at Asterisk. So Asterisk is the most widely adopted open source PBX software in the world. Hundreds of applications and commercial products have been built upon Asterisk to help empower communication. So one of those applications is Switchvox. And Switchvox actually has a distinct advantage in that Digium is the owners and maintainers of the Asterisk open source project. So not only is the open source community contributing to the Asterisk project, there's also a development team here at Digium that works to maintain Asterisk. So Asterisk 13 is the latest iteration of Asterisk. So bringing that to market was a significant engineering effort at Digium. Asterisk 13 is a revolutionary version of Asterisk. They've done some significant changes under the hood there, whether it's the PJ SIP being implemented. They've also introduced Asterisk REST interface, or ARI. They created a lot of efficiencies within Asterisk. And in turn, Switchvox gets to take advantage of all those efficiencies. So the Switchvox development effort for Switchvox 6 was to build Switchvox on top of Asterisk 13. Now Switchvox 6 gets basically a fresh engine underneath which it can develop upon. So underneath the hood, you've got a lot of efficiencies. On the surface, we've also done a lot of work in developing Switchvox to create a large number of administrative features that can make managing Switchvox a lot easier, as well as completely redesigning the Switchboard to introduce a new real-time engine that makes real-time communications and live views into those communications easier to manage and easier to write additional integrations with, one of which we introduced in Switchvox 6, which is the new Salesforce integration.
Okay, great. Well, that's a lot. Let's kind of piece that together. So let's start with the Switchboard. So the Switchboard has been kind of the flagship feature for Switchvox for a long time. Tell us what's changed there.
So yeah, you'll immediately notice opening the new Switchboard is that we've completely redesigned the look and feel of the Switchboard. So we used the material design language, got rid of Flash, introduced Switchboard with using all WebSockets. Again, the efficiencies there, you're in a publish subscribe model now, so there's a lot less chatter on the network. But for users, they'll immediately see a much cleaner interface when it comes to layouts and widgets. Widgets automatically resize and snap to a grid. Layouts can be saved, configured into a variety of different layouts for different use cases. So if you're a receptionist, you might see a list of all the contacts that you interact with most, so that you can do easy things like transfer a call, set up conference calls, record calls. You can dial directly from the Switchboard. You can initiate video chats and regular chats with internal users. You can also set up a conference, a set of widgets for a call center. If you're a call center manager, you might be able to see all the queues that you're managing, what the status of those are. You can set thresholds so that you can alert whenever a wait time reaches a certain limit. You can also see details of all the queue members that are on your Switchboard. We've also introduced a couple other widgets, such as like a voicemail, visual voicemail widget, so that you can play back and see your voicemails right from the Switchboard. So really trying to bring together as much of the real-time interactions that you'd have with your phone system and a new clean interface.
Yeah, the visual voicemail widget is nice, not having to go to a separate page within Switchvox just to get your voicemail. It's very helpful. So you mentioned also talking about administrative features. I know one of those is tags. Can you talk about how tags make an administrator's life easy?
Yeah, so the tags will be a piece of your contacts now. So before you had phone books in Switchvox, and now you'll be using tags to group people together. So you maybe have a sales team, and you can add everyone to the sales tag as an administrator. When a new salesperson starts, you can give them that sales tag. On the flip side, as a user, you've created a switchboard layout, and you've created a widget, and you've put all your salespeople in that widget. So now you just have to add that one tag for sales, and all the people will populate. So when that administrator creates a new user and gives them that sales tag, that user automatically shows up in your switchboard. Makes it very easy for an administrator to push out updates and keep everyone's switchboards in sync. Additionally, you've also got the ability as an administrator to also create layouts for those users. So before they even start their first day and open up their switchboard the first time, you can configure a ideal sales layout and share that out to everybody in sales. So not only when they open up their switchboard, they'll see the same thing, they'll also have all the same members included thanks to tags.
All right, great. So one of the really exciting things that I like is this new Salesforce integration. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the old Switchboard and the old Salesforce integration, the Salesforce integration actually lived inside of the Switchboard. So as a Salesforce user, you would traditionally will work inside of Salesforce most of the time. With the new integration, the Switchvox integration is actually built into the Salesforce window. So there's an iframe within that Salesforce window that lets you see real-time information as calls come in. You'll get a screen pop that will bring you directly to the record that matches that caller ID. It'll do a lookup across both your Salesforce and your Switchvox contacts. You can create a call log basically right from the plugin. So as that call gets associated with that record, you can type notes as you're having that conversation and save those notes from the plugin, and they'll go right into the record's activity history. You can also go into Salesforce anywhere you see a number and click, and it'll dial out for you. We've also introduced something we call drafts, where if you're in the middle of your workflow, having conversations, you're taking notes, you're not quite ready to write it all up before you want to take your next call. Those notes, the notes you've been making within the Salesforce plugin will be saved into a drafts tab, and at the end of the day, you can go back and see all the different notes that you'd never completed and go back and save them back to the activity history.
Oh, great. All right, well, good. Switchvox 6 is really awesome, and we're really excited to see what people do with it. So let's kind of switch gears now to virtualization. So why was virtualization a focus for product development for Switchvox?
Sure, yeah, virtualization traditionally has been an enterprise solution. Back when it first got introduced, it was really only adopted by those very large organizations that had a lot of complex systems, the budget to put in and maintain a virtualization infrastructure. As the years have gone on, it has been moving more and more downstream to the medium and small business market. And that's where Switchvox is really well suited. So now that virtualization is becoming more prevalent there, we really want to make sure that those that want to use and take advantage of the features of Switchvox can do so in a way that works best for them. So giving our customers the ability to use Switchvox with VMware was the obvious choice, being that it was the market leader in that space.
Okay, so tell us about what are some of the major benefits as far as why would somebody want to virtualize their phone system?
Sure. Yeah. So virtualization has a lot of inherent benefits in of itself. So first and foremost, it's the ability to reuse existing infrastructure for more than one purpose. So traditionally, you buy a server and you put your application on that server, and that's what that server was meant for. And it was basically it's a singular purpose. So now that you virtualize that server, you can actually put multiple machines or virtual machines on top of one piece of hardware. And each one of those virtual machines can have a purpose application, whether it's a PBX or CRM or email. And now when you create larger environments, you can actually scale those hardware resources across an application. So one application might actually have access to multiple pieces of hardware. And if that application needs more resources, that's where scalability starts coming into play with virtualization. Your application maybe today only needs to support 10 users, but if you have a booming year and you bring on a whole bunch of new users, you need to give that application some more resources. So With virtualization, you can do that on the fly. So what used to be a small system can become a very large system without ever having to uninstall, reinstall, or do anything else. So right now, you're looking at environments where people are buying PBXs, and it's a piece of hardware that sits on your rack there. And when you get bigger, you need to go buy a new piece of hardware and migrate over. So with virtualization, it's really hardware agnostic. The other big benefit you get from virtualization is a lot of disaster recovery tools. So virtualization lets you take a snapshot of your system. So in a moment of time, it takes not only a backup of the application itself, but the entire operating system and the virtual machine environment, what's in memory, everything. So you can quickly restore that snapshot on a new virtual machine. So rather than the time it takes to reinstall an application or an operating system and get everything up and then applying a backup, you can quickly just create a new virtual machine and apply that snapshot and be up in minutes. There's even more complex solutions out there in the market with VMware, where you can actually do high availability, where in real time it's actually paying attention to hardware resources, and if an application is sitting on one resource that goes down, it can actually move that over to a different piece of hardware or resource that is available, and you as an end user would never know that happened in the background.
Wow. Very nice. So if someone wants to migrate to virtualization today, maybe they have a Switchvox appliance and they want to move, how does that work?
Yeah, so hopefully you're working with a reseller that's familiar with virtualization. Virtualization is not something that you sort of take on lightly. It's more than just your PBX. You probably are going to use VMware for many other things, for consolidating your business system. So if you're working with a reseller, definitely reach out to them and have them walk you through that. But it is a very simple process nonetheless. First, you'll need a VMware environment running vSphere 5.0 or above. You'll need to be up to date on all of your subscriptions so that you can update your current PBX to Switchvox 6.1. Once you're up to date on 6.1, you'll want to take a backup of that installation. If you go to digium.com/subs, there's a link in the middle called Subscription Wizards. If you enter your reg code in there, it'll tell you everything you need to know about what you need to do the update, and that is where you'll actually get an email generated to you with a link to download a VMware image. So we've actually packaged up Switchvox in a VMware image so that you can create a virtual machine, apply that image, and be up and running in seconds on a new version of Switchvox in VMware. Once you have that instance up and running, you apply your backup and you should be back up and running.
All right, well, good. Well, we're really excited about virtualization and Switchvox 6, and really excited about where the product is going. So thank you very much for your time today, Adam.
Absolutely, Brian.
All right, great. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode of Digium Live.